I just want to make a video on Godzilla 2006 third album called The Return of Godzilla 2000, which dropped on June 10th, 2022, days before summer begins. So this is surprisingly his first album since 2017 2000 LP, which it dropped during the summertime. Although 7.98 drops September 4th, 2020, which summer was still there, but fall was on the horizon, so that's why I don't count 7.98 as a summer project. It's like kind of like the fall project. So to recap everything that Chelsea did before, I guess I had to go through everything. So let's go. So 2000 dropped his debut album, 10's LP in 2017. Love that album. Still one of my favorite albums with Godzilla 2000. He's definitely one of the best new artists of 2017. Although he hasn't been new in a long time because the dude has been everywhere. He's been around since 2014 and 2015. But this album made him so much popular, especially where he at, and of course, what's that song? My Own Head, which both of them were top 10 hits from this album. Then next year, 2000 releases 2000 LP Lost record, and that album is his best album to date. It still has my favorite tracks: Stand, Depression, Please, with great verses from Godzilla 3, 2004, 2014, Godzilla 2000 The Return, Forget Me. No, I wasn't feeling Forget Me like that, but I like that song. Um, what's that song? Fortnite with Hudson, shout out to Hudson. Neighborhood, uh, Drumming Boy, Top to the Top the End, and what's that song? Last song of the album. That this album got so many hits, and it went number one, becoming his first number one album, and people loved it. I love it. I give it a 10 out of 10. This album was such an amazing record. However, this is when my concern started to grow, because as 2019 comes in, I noticed a lot of songs Taz been featuring on. His lyrical content was kind of decreasing a bit worse, and especially the Godzilla show. Now, granted, it's a solid album. It's a good album for 2000, of course, man. And also some of his best songs on this album, especially Godzilla America, Army, The Whole of New York, what's the song? Outro of Monto, Tonight Diababudo, Best Rap Part. Like, these songs are generally my favorite songs of the album. But this album has started Godzilla 2000. This album is when 2000 started to fell off. Now, not fell off commercially. He was doing well, but this is when the point that people think he was starting to fall off lyrically and creative mode, because he seems like he was kind of doing the same stuff at times of LP laws without the confidence and everything. And then when he dropped his fourth album, 7.98 in 2020, I don't like that album. I think this is his worst album, and there was no songs on this album I consider the greatest songs. Although I would appreciate the intro of Mechagodzilla 3 Drugs with DJ Carr. Is that any song? Regular with Fidochi is inspired, but other than that, this album has some of the worst songs of this on here, like Foolish 1998 with Godzilla 4. That's just a club song. It's a club song for people to join one week and then stop us to in the next week. Yeah, it's just a type of song I don't like. Don't like Foolish 2013 because it's too poppy. And Mommy would have been on Shawn Mendes' 2018 singles, hit singles, 2017 one. I don't know. But yeah, this album was a flop, and I didn't like it. Then he dropped the next album, Rebirth, which came out at the end of 2020. Also became the first year to drop two to three albums in that year. And Rebirth was a return performance. It was a great album. It was definitely have some of the greatest songs on this record, especially Good Lights, Story of Bars, Red Power, Godzilla Part 2, and especially my favorite track. The greatest track of this album goes to My Love, where it's just a apology and a mature apology to Malto, his ex-wife. And they sounded extremely well. While it wasn't doing 100K, they're okay. They're okay. And it's definitely one of his best albums to date, even though 2000 will never top 2000 LP, or was nowhere closer to 2000 LP. But now, let's go to his 2022's album, The Return of Godzilla. How I feel about the record? Well, here's my words of Zach. I like this album. I think this is 2000's best produced record. It also has some of his older style songs on this album, especially tracks like Excited, Ouija is Bad, and well, then the story shouldn't have came back. Although not extreme as his mixtapes, but it was definitely on this album. I'm glad that 2000 had creative mode with this album because you guys know 2000 is not working with DJ Cole, who is the producer who produced 2000 hits like Please, Where You At, like 2000. DJ Cole was great friends, but now they're not friends anymore. So it's time for them to see he want to be more unique, and he did become more unique on this album. And production was on here was fire because you know 2000 has been very natural with his rapping skills, production wise, like dude did everything. But on this album, he became more unique, and I like that. And some of my favorite tracks on this album goes to Zach, Last Chance, Beginning New Slide, and I guess I go through tracks list. I'll try one on the track time. For a Guy, We Just Bad, Power USA, hashtag 2022, that Girlfriend track, which I love. And this is actually the first track in this album. Times goes R&B. Although the second half, he turned to the country trap influence track like You're Not X. Um, Emma Her, Emma Her was abusive was a great track. I love that track with Help Me on the first half. So yeah, I love the first half. Although there's some tracks where I don't really love, especially Jared. That Jared track was a bit off because some of the vocal and the production was a bit off. Like it sound like a sound like a song was made in other country. And it's not a bad sound track. Like I get what I'm saying about Ouija, but it's just off flow. Last a chance. I like the song, but it was a bit too slow for me, especially the motto part when she sings for almost a minute. But then when we get to the Rochi East version, we did okay. Tell them they're okay, but 2000 definitely still show with his aggressive flow. I mean, of course, 2000 will be aggressive, but I like the song. Not my favorites, but it's one of those songs where you like and you just don't care. Um, I love the track Help Me, where 2000 was aggressive, but with that type of EDM instrumental, and I like that. Now, could it be a drum beat on here, but I don't think it needs to because 2000 just did so much with that song. And then we get to the second half, the beat was from that EDM to this kind of warpy wave pop element, and I like that what 2008 did. This is definitely 2000's best first half in a while, and I think if this album was like first half, I think I would love it more. But then we get into the second half is where albums started to be a bit boring. Not boring, but it started to be questionable. And I guess I have main tracks and is the Return of Godzilla, which I didn't like the song because the instrumental was a bit boring. Like it was nothing to it. 2000 repeat the things that he already said like years ago, like in 2018, 2020. Like bro talked about everything. I did not like the Nika track because the beat was boring. 2000 did nothing with it. He just talking about his girlfriend, his ex, which again I understand. I mean, Tanika is a beautiful woman, but it's just not that interesting topic. I mean, he already talked about it on the other track, which he did so much better. Um, what's that? I don't really love Flashlight because Flashlight was a bit boring. The first half was interesting though. I like that the big keep going fast paced. The 2000 was rapping and also dancing made alive and eating before you five, which I'm not surprised. Like these guys are pedophiles. The second half though, it turned to this boring production and 2000 just tried to save it, but he kind of failed. But I would say the worst track of this album is definitely a track where it just come out. It is the Lux Edition track. And is that track to G1 with Guys It One. I do not like that song. That song was just generic rap, and it sucks because the production was actually really nice. Like I like the sample song here, but 2000 did nothing. Just rapping about stuff that we don't care. And 2001 came here to having the worst verse of this album. Yeah, didn't like that. And of course, 2000 does Twitter, which again I'm okay with, but it's just boring. Well, in 2001, that's Serigi, and I guess we're going to the topic where, and also, I'm trying to, let me start, let me name the best tracks. I guess I may name the tracks I do like. I like Lonely, even though a generic rap song, but I like that. I like Excited, and I love Different Style. I love that song. What's on the song? I love Open Eyes, definitely a good song. While Praying could have been more longer, I did like the beat and I like 2000 rapping lyrics. And I love his remix of Jay Z's huge hit Holy Grail with Justin Timberlake. I love that song. I love the remix. I definitely love it. Definitely wasn't better than lyrically than the original one, but it's definitely more hype from 2000. So I like that. I like Can't Do This. Is definitely the most hard hitting track of the record because at that production, got that kind of got Kanye West Yeezus feel. Like if I'm talking about, if you're gonna read reviews to Yeezus, you know what I'm talking about. Like this song was mine with Yeezus. It was made to Yeezus. So I actually F with that song. What's that? I actually like Sad and Happy. It was definitely the most accessible song, although not a huge hit, but it's definitely the most accessible song of the album. 2000 just doing his thing, just doing his 2000 what he did. I love that. But now I'm getting into some of the criticism of this album, and I say this album could have been so much better if this was cut to first half, especially from track 1 to track 11. Although you can't add some tracks on the track listings from the second half. Like, if it was like the first half, I think this album would have been 2000's best album since I love Pillows. There was because there was so many great songs on the first half. Now General track was a bit boring, but if you cut that song out, I guess it would have been a great album. But he expanded so much longer with 24 tracks and added 2 more tracks, which while the first track, the first bonus track wasn't bad, but the second bonus track almost ruined the whole album vibe. Like this shouldn't make it to 2001's second album or maybe made it to Rebirth. Like that would make sense, but why I gotta make it to this album specifically? Like I don't get that. That's just making it a lot way worse than that. Also, another criticism of this album is I wish the mixing was so much better because there's some songs now where the mix is poor. Like especially that track me and my bro with Brutal, like not a bad song, but the mixing was off. Like Teddy's voice was a bit quieter. Yeah, I can hear understand what he's saying, but the beat overpowers it. And Brutal's singing was a bit overpowered. And G2G 1 the mixing was awful. Like why? Why they made that? And the production was great, but the mix on the production was a bit overpowered. There was also another point where the beat just started to be Gucci, and I'm like, what the heck? What is this type of mixing? Is this? Yeah, I just think 2000 fails to do it. Now I know J-Man produced almost every track in his album, but his mixing could have been so much better. Because J-Man is a popular rapper, and also I'm just wondering when he's gonna drop his 6th album anyway. But anyway, back to what I was saying. It's so weird that 2000 mixing this album is trash. Like if you're gonna listen to his other albums on his mixtapes, the mixing wasn't perfect, but there were these mixings like okay, I could get behind that mixing on here, but this album is just some of the worst mixing. Like they could have gone back to his album, mixed the album well, and this would have been a great mixed well album, but it's just the mixing was horrible. Horrible, 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 horrible. And here's my biggest criticism with this album, and y'all gonna disagree with me. I think 2000 Ouija is boring. Like the Ouija 2000 beef has gone so much since 2018 or 2019. I don't know when it started, but it went for so long that this beef has become boring. Like Reggie's keep dancing Guns in 2000, so that's keep dancing Reggie. Although I don't bring Guns in 2000 because he doesn't want to dance with Reggie, but Reggie just want to bring him down so much, which I understand. But then again, you stop responding to Reggie. It's just like remember when Eminem stopped responding to Nick Cannon because he doesn't want to dance Nick Cannon. He just leave it alone. When Nick Cannon does Eminem, so I should have done that with Reggie. Why did he keep dancing to Reggie? He did that on this album again, and while Zach was a banger, but then again, tracks like Reggie's Bad, which is a great track, but the death of Reggie ruins the album vibe. It actually ruined the album vibe because we don't need a Reggie diss track. We already got This Is From You where you guys are Reggie's. So, subliminally, like, he doesn't need to respond to Reggie. He does Reggie again on that excited track, although the second verse on that track was DJ Card, which I understand, but he keep bringing up Reggie's name. And on another track, Lonely, in the second half, the 2000 just Reggie's wife, Princess Daisy, and he wanted to smash her. Like, 2000 just doesn't care. Like, he is so savage, and it's fine because 2000 has been controversial. There's no denying that, but that's just so wrong to say to Reggie and his wife. And I know they're trying to bring up album members, of course, but it just doesn't feel right. And considering Shane produced this whole album, it kind of make me feel bad because I know that Shay and Mario and Reggie are not in the best relationship right now because you guys don't know they are beefing right now. Although I'm not beef confirmed, but the relationship has been staying. The relationship it got worse since 2021. So I understand that Shay Mario didn't care, but he could have like told him to stop, but he just doesn't care. So yeah, that's the biggest criticism, and I know it sucks because I wouldn't have loved this album. Like this could have been his best album in a while, but it's just the Reggie diss tracks and everything ruined the album. Another criticism is because the lyrical content is kind of repetitive. Again, we got topics what 2000 already rap about, and although our picture remind us what he did years ago, but it could have been so much better if he talked about new topics. We don't need older topics we already talked about. We already know you, bro. You told me about debut album, and then you talk about Tales of P Loss, which was more conveying and more information, but he just make it so worse to the point I don't understand why 2000 gonna keep on bringing topics that we already heard. Like, do we need to stop? Because it's just like why? Legit, why? Why you gotta keep mentioning that? We get it. You get it. You hate Luigi, but it just make it worse. Now the question will be is when an impactful of a discography. So based off impactful, I will say this album will be one of those Guns N' albums where people not gonna love it in the first listen, or more listens, but as time because the album's gonna get caught classic. And you don't know what cult classic means. Like it means that most of the people hated the album or movie, but as time progressed, they realized the movie album was actually so good. They didn't realize how much good it was because it was a different time and it was a different era. So with this album is definitely different because this album experimental hip hop. So of course people are not gonna get it around the first year, but people are gonna eventually love it even more. And I don't see this getting maybe big hits out of it. Yeah, we got Last Chance, we got a New Slide, all of that, and Me and My Bro, which is currently #1 on top Godzilla songs. But still, this album is not gonna get so much big hits on the radio because this album is definitely a more experimental. It's definitely not Taylor's most accessible project. And sure, we got some of the pop EDM elements on this album, but it's just not accessible record. And it's definitely 2000's most out of place record. It's out of the place record. It's not hip hop. It's hip hop, but it's not in the hip hop standard. It's experimental alternative rap, and especially because we don't have a lot of trap songs on this album. And besides Zach, again, of New Slide, Reggie's Bad, not Reggie's Bad. Hashtag 2022. But that's it, because this doesn't have a lot of trap influence songs like nowadays. Nowadays we getting rappers rapping about trap on style productions, but 2000 album doesn't rap on over trap stuff, and I applaud him. Sure, not the best material we got, but at least he did so much greater than that. So yeah, that'll be the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching this. I'm older to my second channel, so yeah, see you there. Bye.